I started this channel in the spring, having moved to a little cottage and not sure what I was going to do with my life. And so it seems fitting that I am here now, years later, facing something new once again.
Most people know Paola Merrill as the Cottage Fairy, the gentle voice of still forests and rainy mornings. But what if we told you that behind her soft-spoken world lies a chapter almost no one has heard? A truth that could change the way you see her forever. Paola's life has not always been as quiet as the meadow she walks through. There were storms, crossroads, and choices that shaped the person we see today. And once you hear them, the Cottage Fairy may never feel quite the same again. Born in Puerto Rico on December 5, 1996, her childhood was a tapestry of places. Tropical mornings under the Caribbean sun, quiet southern U.S. towns, the soulful streets of Havana, misted Dublin, and sun-worn Italy. Her father, a former Navy captain from Washington, and her Puerto Rican mother, who joined the Navy Reserve, carried their children across the world, giving Paola and her siblings, Liana and Rohan, shades of culture and belonging she would later weave into stories for her viewers. If you look closely, you might see in her gentle movements a childhood shaped by many backdrops, as if her life is a patchwork quilt stitched by geography. Amid these shifts, she quietly collected loves, books, brushes, and words. She studied literature, first in Dublin, at University College Dublin, then at Western Washington University, drawn to stories and the emotional architecture they hold. After graduating, she found herself a bookseller in a small town, freelance writing and editing, and even teaching art in a preschool, tucked away in the Okanogan Valley. There, in a rented cottage, the wild beauty of Washington seeped into her bones. Her days began to settle into shape. She'd wander with her Labrador companion at dawn, through ferns heavy with morning dew. She packed Etsy orders by mid-morning and lost herself in art or writing until the lure of film days beckoned. Those were the days she'd plan the soft story she wanted to tell next, gather petals or paint pieces or ingredients for foraging crafts, and set up her camera as golden hour turned windows into stained glass. Then came March 21st, 2020. Paola, touched by isolation, sadness, collective longing, pressed record on her phone and drifted into our lives via slow, silent vlogs. Images of moss, candlelight, the hush of turning pages. It wasn't escapism, it was grounding. It was an invitation back to wonder in the everyday. Her voice found its strength despite being soft. In customer service jobs, she'd often be called into a boss's office for being too quiet, too gentle. And in her videos, viewers told her how soothing it felt. It was funny to get this response of, "Oh, it's very calming to listen to you." Was she quietly shaping enchantment from fragments? Or did the forest cradle and teach her the magic? By 2022, the quiet grew more tangible. Paola released the Cottage Fairy Companion, a guidebook threaded with poetic advice, crafts by season, recipes like lavender arroz con dulce and coquito, foraging tips, and her own reflections on history and healing. The book's warm, meditative prose built small but deep refuges on each page, showing us that beauty lies not in obligation, but in attention and presence. Her growth was gentle, yet surprising. By June 2025, her YouTube channel had 1.57 million subscribers and nearly 100 million views. Milestones marked by Silver and Gold Creator Awards, given in 2021 and 22. Yet even those who seem like woodland muses walk through shadows. Behind her enlightening world, Paola revealed hidden struggles, anxiety, eating disorders, workaholism, and the feeling that art was never gratitude enough unless she earned it with extra hours. She speaks openly about it now, about leaning into quiet, seeking counseling, and slowly learning that her worth wasn't tied to output. What she rarely admits outright, but what lingers between her words, is the loneliness that comes with becoming an icon of comfort. When you are adored for your calm, it can feel as though there is no space left for your chaos. She has spoken of the weight of expectation, of being caught between wanting to protect her private self and wanting to give something authentic to her viewers. The balance is razor thin, too much vulnerability and people pry, too little and people doubt the sincerity. It is here, in this tension, that the shadows deepen. Here's a thing to reflect upon. Can we honor our healing with as much tenderness as we ask of others? In December 2022, she paused. She wrote that she needed to step away from social media, starting anew on my birthday week. There wasn't a dramatic exit, just a whisper of retreat, as if she needed to close her eyes long enough to hear herself again. And yet, even in the silence of those months, she sought her own restoration. Friends say she walked longer in the woods, journaling under trees and letting grief and gratitude share the same page. She practiced slow rituals, lighting a candle for no one but herself, painting without needing to show the result, sitting at the edge of a river simply to hear its pulse. These were small rebellions against productivity culture, acts of healing that may not look grand, but speak to her truest form of resilience. When the gentle becomes a banner we must carry, who holds the softness for the bearer? Upon her return, everything felt different. Her videos still glowed but trembled with truth, less curated, more real. The candor in her voice and the light across her cottage seemed to hold honesty now, not perfection. On Reddit, fans often discuss her videos with almost reverent appreciation. Threads describe her work as a warm blanket for the soul and like therapy without talking. Some share how her videos became their safe space during breakups, anxiety spirals, or the alienation of pandemic years. Others worry about her well-being, noting her pauses in uploading and hoping she takes the time she needs. That online dialogue has become its own little cottage, people comforting each other through her art, echoing the very cycle of care she began. There is something intimate about watching someone return, tender footprints pressed into snow. She spoke then more directly, still with poetry, but also avoidance of artifice. And her community stayed, hearts resonating with her continued pursuit of balance, read with quiet candles each night, supporting her art, traveling slowly through seasons with her voice as guide. Beyond screens, Paola's life continues with small enchantments, planting trees after wildfire, reading with deliberate slowness, writing letters to herself and others, sketching wildflowers, walking barefoot in forests, lighting candles, brewing tea, listening to ambient hums, collecting old books and antiques, and dreaming of writing picture books that bridge ages and memories. She's fluent more than just in languages, but in the language of slow wonder. And she shares it without claiming. It's anything but a gift we give ourselves. As for what comes next, Paola hints at dreams still unfurling. She has spoken of wanting to write illustrated children's books that mix folklore, ecology, and gentle wonder. She longs to plant more trees on her land, to expand her cottage garden into a true sanctuary for wildlife. And perhaps most importantly, she seeks to live in a way that doesn't rush, one video at a time, in one season at a time. The future for her is not about chasing scale, but deepening roots. In giving us moss-strewn poems on screen, does she remind us that magic is neither rare nor remote, but always waiting in quiet corners? We sit with her in our small moments, ash-covered candles, a page turned before sleep, stepping outside to catch a breath. She is teaching something fierce and tender, that you can be whole, soft, broken, and still rise in light. And so the story of the Cottage Fairy is a living reminder that beauty and struggle often coexist. Her journey shows that enchantment is about noticing the fragile and fleeting, and about allowing silence to heal as much as it haunts. In her moss-strewn cottage, with a pen, camera, and the courage to pause, she is teaching us all the radical art of gentleness. And perhaps that is her greatest gift. Not that she hides the darkness, but that she carries it tenderly into the light.